The 2024 NFL Draft has come to a close, and the Miami Dolphins have made 7 selections to add to this roster. And on today's show, we're going to go pick by pick, grade them, and then give my overall draft class grade for Miami. I am Nic Rohloff of Dolphins Today. We have to start with the first-round pick, Chop Robinson, the edge out of Penn State, who Miami selected with the 21st overall pick. If you watched a video a couple days ago, I gave it a C+ grade, and I am going to stick with that decision. I think he is a good player that will help Miami in this season be a rotation pass rusher behind Shaq Barrett, behind Bradley Chubb, behind Jalen Phillips. But those two have been dealing with injuries, including Phillips tearing his Achilles in November of last year. So Robinson provides some insurance and depth at that edge position. An uberly athletic edge rusher from Penn State who's got a really quick first step. The productivity at the Nittany Lions program isn't the greatest thing of all time, but the traits are there, and if he's able to really just be a sponge in this edge room with Barrett, Chubb, and Phillips, he can ultimately really be solid for Miami. The only reason why I didn't grade it higher is because I believed Graham Barton or Jerzon Newton would have been more impactful selections for Miami with that 21st pick. But I do like Chop Robinson as a player. I believe he will be good. The reason why this grade isn't higher is because I just thought there was better prospects out there that would have been more impactful. In round 2, pick 55, Miami did not trade up or trade down on day 2. This is actually their only selection on the second day of the NFL Draft as well. Patrick Paul, the offensive tackle from Houston. I give it a B, and some of you guys might think it's a little bit too high of a grade for Paul. I disagree. I get it. I understand that he is not going to be that much of a difference maker in year 1. You still have Teron Armstead at left tackle, and you still have Austin Jackson at right tackle. You needed to fill that right guard position. I'm not debating you on that. That was my number 1 position of need coming into this draft. But Paul is one of my favorite offensive tackles in this class. High upside guy, 3-year starter at Houston. He improved every single year with his technique, his PFF grade, his sacks allowed decrease, and taking the jump from the American Athletic Conference to the Big 12 in 22 to 23, his numbers did not decrease, and his PFF grade actually went up, racking up a 91.5 pass blocking grade as a Houston Cougar at that left tackle spot in 2023. So I think that learning behind Armstead and being a swing tackle for Miami in 2024, and he is going to have to play. He will start a couple games this season due to either Austin Jackson or Teron Armstead missing time. Those guys are injury-prone offensive tackles, specifically Armstead, so I expect Paul to play. I know there was a lot of guys out there that Miami Dolphins fans preferred. I give it a B because he will play in spot minutes this season, but he will also be the long-term left tackle of the Miami Dolphins. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're not done with our draft content. Tomorrow on Sunday, we are going to come back with a Dolphins UDFA tracker video. So subscribe to the channel. We're about 50 subscribers away from 56K. Let's hit that milestone before tomorrow and be on the lookout because that could drop at noon. It could drop at 2 p.m. We'll have you covered on the latest signings by the Miami Dolphins. Moving on to day 3 now. This one came in the 4th round at pick 120. They moved up to get this guy, Jaylen Wright, the running back from Tennessee. They sent a 2025 third-round pick, which is okay by me considering that they have, at least on paper, 3 of them next year. They have their own, and then they're projected to have 2 third-round comp picks for the losses of Christian Wilkins and Robert Hunt in free agency, so they're still going to have multiple third-rounders next year, even with this deal. Wright is a very speedy running back from Tennessee. Ran a 4.38 40-yard dash, and I know people are going to come out and say, well, they didn't need a running back, so why did they take one? Well, he's just going to be a weapon for this Mike McDaniel offense. And you also saw Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane have injury issues all last year, resulting in some no-namers playing at running back late in the season in December and January. You get a third guy who is very good in pass protection, a really good receiving back as well. I give it a B-. If you just grade the player, this is more of like a B+, but because position wasn't really that big of a need, it's going to be helpful to have depth at the running back spot because of the injury history of your 2 guys now, but it isn't the biggest need, which is why I give it a B-. More picks to grade here in just a second. But shout out to Mando for sponsoring today's video. They are the best. And you don't want to be stinky this upcoming spring. And as it gets more warm outside, the heat is continuing to rise. Mando is going to help you smell good throughout the day with clinically proven coverage. Instead of covering up BO with heavy fragrances, Mando stops odor at the source, stopping the stink from happening in the first place. Created by a doctor, Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere, allowing you to put Mando on the family jewels without any worry. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes. It also is free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code for you to get helped and get hooked on my favorite smelling body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's code CHAT at shopmando.com. I have some items here from the starter kit. Look at this thing. A bourbon leather. You got the deodorant wipes right here. You got the Pro Sport Invisible Cream Deodorant as well. You can get all of these items part of the Mando Starter Pack. It's $5 off. That code and link is in the description and comments of today's video. Shout out to Mando. Get that 40% off the starter pack right now with code CHAT at shopmando.com. All right, moving on to the 5th round at pick 158, Mohamed Kamara, the edge from Colorado State. I give it a B+, and people in our live chat when we were live for this pick were not happy with it. They said they should not have taken another edge rusher after taking Chop Robinson because there was other wide receivers on the board that they preferred and defensive tackles as well as offensive guards. I understand the needs that this Miami Dolphins roster possesses, but I'm also in the business of just taking the best player available, and Mohamed Kamara, make no mistake, when the Dolphins were picking at 158, was the best player on the board. I thought he was going to be a 4th-round pick at worst. I wouldn't have been surprised if he went on day 2 of the NFL draft in the late 3rd round in the top 100 picks. Kamar had 13 sacks for the Rams in 2023, a very productive player, had a 4.57 40-yard dash, I believe, which is just outstanding because the 2 fastest edge rushers at the NFL Combine when it came to the 40-yard dash, Chop Robinson, who read a sub-4.5, and then Mohamed Kamara. So the Dolphins drafting speed at the edge position. Him and Robinson adding to that back end of the edge group with Phillips, Chubb, and Barrett is going to create one heck of a pass rush for Miami in 2024. And you got to get after the quarterbacks like Drake May, who got drafted by New England, like Josh Allen, like Aaron Rodgers. I love Kamara. He's a dog. He's going to bring that fire and competitiveness. He will be a difference maker for Miami this year and beyond. Book it. That's why I give it a B+. My favorite pick that Miami had was Malik Washington, coming in the 6th round, pick number 184, wide receiver out of Virginia. I could not be more happy with this pick. And if you followed me on Twitter, by the way, do it, at Nic_Rohloff, you would have saw the clip that I put out of Mike McDaniels when NFL Network flashed to the war room of Miami. When they announced the pick, McDaniel gave a nice little fist pump because Washington is a very productive wide receiver. Only 5'8.5", so he's basically a slot guy, which is concerning that he's got that small of a frame. But after transferring from Northwestern to Virginia, he had 1,400 yards as a Cavalier. Also had 110 receptions for Virginia, was a second-team All-American according to AP. He is as productive as it comes. You put him in the slot in 3 wide receiver sets alongside Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, and you have a nasty, nasty wide receiver trio. He was a top 100 player in our Chat Sports rankings. Falls to 184. Yeah, I'll take that every single time. Patrick McMorris, my least favorite pick in this draft, was the 6th round selection out of California, safety at 198. I think McMorris can be fine. I think he's going to project more as a special teamer. Listen, you're picking these guys late in the 6th round. Most of them aren't going to be hits. I do think Malik Washington will be. I don't know if McMorris will. I like a lot of safeties that were on the board. James Williams out of Miami would have been a more better selection if you ask me. But I do like the idea of adding a safety to this roster and see if you find something, because I think Javon Holland could be more of a Kyle Hamilton role in this Anthony Weaver defense, where he can roam around the nickel, play safety traditionally, but also be in the box as well. And then if you wanted to go to a 3 safety set, you still have Jordan Poyer and that third guy there. Don't know if McMorris is going to be able to do it. Not my favorite pick. I don't think he was really a draftable player. Graded out as a UDFA by Dane Brugler and our own Tom Downey here at Chat Sports, which is why I give it a C-. Final pick Miami made in the draft came at 241 in the 7th round. Taj Washington, another wide receiver. This one coming from USC, not the USC wide receiver Dolphins fans wanted. Everyone wanted Brendan Rice. But Washington is a big play threat. And listen, I don't think he's going to really be someone who comes in and impacts this team in a massive way. But when you're picking at 241, you just look for guys that can flash on special teams or be a high upside traits dude that could come into the roster and shock people. I think Washington possesses that ability, which is why I give this draft pick a B+. He'll have a uphill climb to make the roster, because I think Malik Washington will. You obviously have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You have Berrios, who's a special teamer and likely going to make the roster as well, and then Easy E as well. So could he be the 6th guy? We'll have to see. But Washington taking a flyer on him in the 7th round, I think it's a good flyer, and that's why I give it a B+. Grade the Dolphins draft class. You just saw all 7 picks, A, B, C, D, or F. Before we head out of here, I'm going to give my full draft grade for the Miami Dolphins 2024 draft class. But before I do so, I want to know yours down below. So get in the comment section and don't shy away. My draft grade for the Miami Dolphins, I give it a B. I think that is very fair. You saw a little bit of a pick that I didn't like in the 1st round with Chop Robinson at a C+. You saw some picks late that I really liked, like Mohamed Kamara and Malik Washington. And then some guys in between that really set at a B, B-. Patrick Paul, Jaylen Wright. You had McMorris fall off, Washington at a B+. I think B is fair. You got a lot of guys that are going to impact this roster year 1, like Washington, like Chop Robinson, like Mohamed Kamara and Jaylen Wright. And then some guys that are going to also be long-term plays. I think Chop Robinson fits into that department. He fits in, can impact you now as well as the future. Patrick Paul is more of a future pick, and some shot guys late in the draft as well. Nothing crazy. Not running away with this saying the Dolphins won the draft, but I'm not coming away saying the Dolphins lost the draft either. I think B is a fair grade. You can disagree. You can agree. I don't really care, but that's what I'm giving it. I'll see you on tomorrow's video where, like I mentioned, we're going to have a full UDFA tracker for the Miami Dolphins. I've already seen some guys sign with Miami, and there's a lot of fun names that we're going to talk about. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and tune in tomorrow afternoon for that UDFA tracker video on Dolphins Today.